Thank you, Kylie, and thank you, everyone, for being here. I was obviously not dressing for warmth in Canberra, so I'm hoping you're probably more appropriately attired than I am. I too wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we're meeting on, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Our theme this year is power, persistence, and influence, and that reflects some of the difficulties that we face in the health policy space, which is said to be the most challenging, but also the most critical policy arena. Now, a couple of years ago, I told you that I did my policy subjects with Stephen Duckett. And the textbook that we used was Palmer and Short, so they were working in the faculty at the time. They identified 3 factors which make health policy really difficult and different from any other policy arenas. First and foremost, they argued the dominance of one group, the medical profession, in shaping and constraining health policy is not seen in any other policy arena. The second factor was the complexity of our healthcare system, which has been described as the most complex system or industry in which to work. And the complexity is exacerbated by the inability of patients and consumers to distinguish between good or poor quality of care, and that makes it difficult to decide whether it is quality care or not. And the third factor that they identified was the life and death nature of our industry, where decisions are made in highly emotive and emotional circumstances, which often impact on an individual's physical and mental well-being. So those factors, combined with the size and the trust that's placed upon us in our profession, demand that we, and particularly the Australian College of Nursing, play a role in shaping health and advancing nursing. Professional organisations like ours, I'm just getting a bit of feedback, I think. Anyway, professional organisations like the Australian College of Nursing play an important role engaging with the wider community for political action. To do this, we need to identify issues of concern that are raised by you. We need to then do something about that and come to an agreed position. And then we have a responsibility to bring that to the attention of the public and our elected representatives. And those of you who were here for the Policy Summit in 2018 will remember Dr. Diana Mason. And she reminded us that policy and politics are inseparable. And while government's not the only sphere of influence that we should be focusing on, it is important that we engage with all levels of government, of all political persuasions. And I'm sure you'll realise that that is a task that engages a lot of time for our CEO. Not me, just our CEO. They don't let me near the politicians, as I've said on several occasions for obvious reasons. Since our first policy summit, which was in 2017, so there's the answer, our working parties and policy chapters have compiled a number of evidence-based documents. And just so you're aware, they all go to the board and are approved, and they do form part of our strategic direction. So the board is engaged in the policy issues as well. In 2016, we had 1 white paper and 3 position papers, but we now have nearly 70 white papers, clinical standards documents, and position and discussion papers. And that's taken nearly 58,000 engagements with key stakeholders and members, which is a significant contribution from the profession, our membership, and all of you. So thank you very much. Now, as we all know, developing a position or policy document's only the first step. Does anyone actually read what we write is the first question we need to ask. And over the years, we've responded to precisely, I'm told, 2,494 requests for our documents. Now, that doesn't sound like an awful lot, but that's in addition to those of you who are more tech-savvy than some of us, those of you who've accessed them on the website. And apparently last year we had 1.9 million hits just on our website for our documents. But even more critical than whether or not anyone's reading what we publish, is it actually making a difference? Are we actually influencing health policy? Now that takes us into the realm of implementation science, and I could be up here for hours talking about that, and you would have all probably exited the room. So I'm not going to do that in the interest of time. Suffice it to say, though, that it is estimated that it takes 17 years to get research and evidence into policy and practice. And as we only commenced our journey 6 years ago, there's plenty of time for the presidents who follow me to determine whether or not we actually have had an impact on implementation. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. And in closing, I'd like to welcome you to the 2023 ACN Policy Summit. And I hope that it's a great day for you all, and I look forward to it. Thank you.